Stellar Life, mission log number 268.
Yoga is not supposed to be competitive. It's not supposed to be comparative. It is a journey into the self for you to get to know yourself, to grow yourself. So when that frustration is coming up, that's one of the lessons. Where else in my life do I get frustrated so easily? Why am I getting frustrated so easily? Is it because I'm a perfectionist? How is that serving me right now? Can I just be with what is right now? Can I accept that this is my body right now? This is the tightness I feel in my body right now. And can I be so grateful that I'm here on the mat today? I'm breathing in this body. I still have an able body. And I know if I keep showing up, it's going to reopen. I'm going to regain my strength and so on and so forth. Just like life in general, some days are going to be joyous and, full of surprises, and other days they're going to be heartbreaking, right? And that might be our same experience on the mat as well.
Welcome to Stellar Life Podcast. Get inspired and live out loud. From love, freedom, and success to having it all. Here's your host, coach, speaker, and shining star, Orion.
Roger, you're looking good.
Hi, and welcome to Stellar Life Podcast. This is your host, Orion. Thank you for being here. Because if you're here, you're taking care of your thoughts. And your thoughts create energy, it creates actions. And if you fill your mind with beautiful, empowering information every day, you will think new thoughts, and that will lead to new actions, and that will lead to improvement in your life. And the improvement we are discussing today is self-care, self-healing, especially for women, through breathing and through meditation, through dance, and through aligning your energy centers. Sometimes we have a block in one of our energy centers, one of our chakras, because of pain or trauma or grief. And when one or two or more of these centers are blocked, it creates physical, mental, and emotional pain in our body. And so by doing those things, we ignite those centers, and we are balancing and harmonizing those centers, and we feel more wholeness. Because when things are hard, just to keep push forward, sometimes it's not the right answer. Sometimes the best thing that you can do is just take a step back and take care of yourself. And sometimes just the awareness that something is missing and that you want to change, just this awareness is activating something and is creating a change for you. Cristi Christensen is a global embodiment coach. Her mission is to empower women and expand their definition of yoga and well-being. Cristis' first book, Chakra Rituals, Awakening the Wild Woman Within, is a self-help guide that makes the ancient science of chakras accessible through a 7-week step-by-step program. The program includes immersive exercises such as vinyasa yoga, writing, and embodiment. She is the creator of Soul Fire, a unique style of yoga that incorporates dance, meditation, and mudra practice to awaken and empower you, and the co-founder of the Asia-based Kirana Yoga School and US-based Deep Excel, a transformational experience merging the worlds of breath, music, and movement. She has taught in 20 countries around the globe to tens of thousands of women, and she is freaking awesome, and you're going to enjoy it. And if you have the intention of taking care of yourself a little better and shining even brighter, you are in the right place. And now, without further ado, on to the show.
2, 1, 0.
Hey, Cristi, and welcome to Stellar Life Podcast. Thank you for being here.
Oh, I'm so excited and honored to be here with you. Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, me too. Before we begin, can you share a little bit about your passion and how did you become the person that you are today?
Oh, wow. That's just a little question. I really feel like everything that happened to me from the time I was born until now has informed everything I've done. I am a survivor of multi-generational abuse that started as a very, very young girl and continued on for quite some time. Because of the brilliance and intelligence of the body, I suppressed those memories very deeply and learned the skills of how to disembody, to not be present, to not be in the here and now. So I didn't have to feel the pain of what was happening. And I also learned the power of shutting down my voice. And even though at a time, those were tools that, very much kept me alive, in time, those tools began to hurt me, you could say. Of course, all this was happening on an unconscious level. So I didn't have obviously the awareness or the understanding around any of this until much later in life. But one of my other defense mechanisms, I guess you could say, was I threw myself into athletics. So I was started and I was athletically very, very gifted and talented. So by the time I was 10 years old, I was training 8 hours a day, striving to make the Olympic team in gymnastics.
Wow.
And that kept me out of the house. So in a way, that also kept me safe.
So you disembodied by being very embodied in your gymnastic.
Yes.
It's like connecting to your body, but not connecting to your body. It's an interesting place to be.
Very interesting, because when I was obviously focusing on learning these skills and whatnot, I was very in my body. But when I wasn't at the gym, I would trip over something. And that's normally how I got hurt. So it was when I had this super duper focus of where to put my attention, I was very embodied, but outside of that, not so much, I guess you could say. But I guess also what played into my favor of that skill of detachment was I had very little fear. So I would, learning new skills and new tricks, I was sure, if my coach thought I could do it, I would go for it, right? Which that could get you into trouble sometimes too. From there, I actually did suffer some really severe injuries, and my parents actually made me quit gymnastics. And then I moved into platform diving and continued on that same kind of track. I moved away from home by the time I was 15 and was training at a training center for diving in Orlando, Florida. And then I was actually training for the 2004 Olympics when I broke my back.
How did that happen?
That was from the training, from the years of gymnastics, the years of, training 8 hours a day. For probably the last 4 years I was competing, it was all pain management. I was, at acupuncturists, chiropractors, icing, heating, electrodes, before and after every practice, physical therapy. It was just all managing. But when you're competing at that elite level, you get used to that's just part of it. So I never actually thought it was going to be the end. I just thought, this is what you deal with when you're at this level. But I got to the point where the doctor literally sat me down and told me I was going to be walking with a cane by the time I was 30. And if I ever wanted to have kids, I would not be able to pick those kids up. So he's like, this is not an option for you to continue. If you continue, the devastation that you're going to do to your body, is beyond, you need to wake up, basically, is what he was telling me. And it was really hard for me to swallow because, this was my one dream, my one goal, the one thing I knew I was good at, the one way I was identified. And it was also my escape. Again, and I didn't really even know that at that time. So after I, had to go on this big healing journey of healing my physical body, slowly but surely, all the other things that needed to be healed started to come up and started to percolate.
And how old were you when you got injured?
I was 24.
Oh, wow. Very young.
I was 24. Yeah. So, and again, it wasn't overnight. It was over time. And I was eventually, at this place of dealing with pretty devastating anxiety and or depression, depending on the day. And prior to that, I'd never had experience that I knew of either, with the exception of maybe in competition, right? But now I could say that was probably anxiety, but then I labeled it as nerves. So I was very uncomfortable in my own skin. I was cursing my body because it broke on me. And I was very disconnected from self, from other, from spirit. And in that moment, someone invited me to my first yoga class. And at this time, yoga wasn't what it is now. It was not popular. It was not cool. It was still under the guise of maybe being weird or not sure what it was. Like really the only thing I knew about yoga at the time was that Madonna did it. And she had great arms, like that was my construct. But, I think in those times when you're like, okay, well, if you think this is gonna make me feel better, sure, I'll go. It was one of those. And I really believe that first class was this first step in my healing journey of not just my physical body, but my relationship with my body, with starting to connect again with my emotional body, learning how to manage my mental body and reconnect, or maybe for the first time, connect to my spiritual body in a way that I hadn't before. So long story long, continuing to practice yoga and got introduced to these different teachers. And pretty early on in my yoga journey, I got introduced to the chakra system. And that was what really lit me up. The chakras are described as wheels of energy, of light, of color. And it was like, I could imagine these spinning wheels of energy and power and color as like me coming back to life, and in the red and the purple and the green and the yellow, like it was like me waking up again and recognizing that I was not my trauma. I was not my set of circumstances. I was not my failure. And just my whole life just started to change. And again, this was not overnight. I've been on this journey for 20 years, but I'm so passionate about yoga, the tools of self-transformation, the tools and the map of the chakra system, because it's the map in which I now live my life. And it's the map that has helped me, continues to help me heal and evolve and awaken to all that I am. And I know if it can help me in this way, that it can help other people. So I want to share it with as many people as possible. So that was my short but long answer.
Thank you. No, thank you for sharing that. It's very powerful. People learn more from stories than from things that we tell them, because somebody probably just heard this and got so freaking inspired, and they will go to a yoga class just because they heard your story.
I hope so.
Yeah, I'll tell you why. A lot of time and it happened to me in LA when I went to a yoga class and I was around all those super bendy yogis, and it felt very vain. It didn't feel like a deep connection to source or a practice of union. It was a practice of Instagram of I can do the poses. So how do you find the right class for you? How do you cope with not being as athletic? Because I'm sure that when you were rehabilitating your injury, you weren't as powerful or flexible, right? Or were you just like perfect from the get-go?
So I started training at such a young age. So even pre-gymnastics, I was a dancer. So my mom was a dancer and she had a dancing school, and we lived in an apartment on top of the dancing school. So I was dancing by the age of like 2 pretty much. So my athletic career, you could say, started at birth. And yes, of course, like when I got injured that final time, I was in, I will never be in that kind of shape again. I was in elite athlete's shape. And I feel better in my body than I probably ever have, because I have a different relationship with it. And because I had doctors telling me I was going to be walking with a cane and all those things by the age of 30, and now I can still do pretty much anything I want to do, but I can't do, like you're talking about this super bendy because of my back injury. I can still do back bends, but I can't do like those crazy back bends that you see on Instagram, right? So I can't twist super deeply, but I can still do a handstand, and I can still do all the poses that I need to do. And I've let go of needing to do the picture perfect stuff, which and that's been one of my lessons, because if I probably never was injured and got into yoga, I would probably be in that competitive, I'm going to be the best and I'm going to be I'm going to go to the Olympics of yoga. That probably would have been the next goal, even though there's no such thing, So I think the fact that I came to it from this place of being injured, what I was getting out of it wasn't, from day one, it wasn't the physicality of it that I fell in love with. I fell in love with how it made me feel. And even with all the exercise, I say that in air quotes, and all the movement, maybe that's a better word, that I'd done my whole life, I had never paid attention to the breath, movement by movement. And even just that alone for 60 minutes or 90 minutes, like feeling each and every inhale and exhale as I moved into poses of expansion and contraction, like that alone did something tremendous.
Yeah, I understand that. I took a yoga class once and I did some kind of a back bend and my chest was open and I just started laughing out loud uncontrollably. It was so amazing, like something opened up. I don't know what happened.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That energy is like freed. From the yogic perspective, we believe that everything that's ever happened to us is held in the tissues of our body. So the more contraction that we have and the more repression that we have and the less movement that we have, that just gets like almost like solidified in the physical body. And that might manifest as pain, or it might manifest as, oh, I'm just one of those people that my neck's always tight, or my shoulder this, but you don't really know why. And then when we get into these yoga asanas and we open up our bodies in these different ways and we're breathing into it, especially with back bends, because how many of us like roll our shoulders forward and collapse our chest down and are sitting at the computer all day, and we're actually doing the exact opposite, right? When we open up the chest in this big way, like so much energy can come in, so much more breath can come in. There's this expansion. And then we can release some of that stuff that we're holding unconsciously and get in touch with that spontaneous joy or whatever was releasing out of you in that moment.
So I had to go through a C-section. And since the C-section and because of COVID, and where I was in the world and the countries I was at, I wasn't able to join a yoga class and to really practice or train or go to the gym. And I got so tight. And I recently, when I tried to go to a yoga class, it just felt like my body wasn't mine. And I couldn't do half of what I used to do. And it felt very frustrating for somebody in my situation, or for somebody who's new to yoga and they feel intimidated by everybody else. What will be your advice for them?
Honestly, if you're intimidated to the point where you don't want to be around people, there are so many incredible online resources for yoga now. That's one of the brilliant things that came out of COVID. I believe that there were tons of platforms that existed before, but most people didn't see the benefit of doing yoga at home, or they're like, oh no, I can't get the same results or the same connection. So if you're someone who's like, you know what, I don't feel ready to go to a 60-minute class at a studio or a 90-minute class on your studio, you can go on an online service. There's great services called OmStars. And even on YouTube, there's plenty of things. There's so many platforms, and you can do 10-minute classes. You can do 20-minute classes to get yourself comfortable in your own body. And then once you're comfortable enough, I would suggest going to a studio, because the connection that you get person to person, even if you don't talk to them, there's a syncopation that happens. Everyone's breathing together. Everyone's moving together. There is something else you get, I believe, from that in-person connection. Obviously, you can forge a deeper connection with the teacher as well.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, like, yoga is not supposed to be competitive. It's not supposed to be comparative. It is a journey into the self for you to get to know yourself, to grow yourself. So when that frustration is coming up, that's one of the lessons. Where else in my life do I get frustrated so easily? Why am I getting frustrated so easily? Is it because I'm a perfectionist? How is that serving me right now? Can I just be with what is right now? Can I accept that this is my body right now? This is the tightness I feel in my body right now. And can I be so grateful that I'm here on the mat today? I'm breathing in this body. I still have an able body. And I know if I keep showing up, it's going to reopen. I'm going to regain my strength, and so on and so forth. So I like to also bring that forth, because I think we're so concerned about what other people might think, but everybody else is so concerned what they, do you know what I mean? Everybody is so concerned with themselves, but at the same time, so concerned with everybody else. No one else is thinking about you. No one else is watching you. So if you can approach the yoga mat from that place of like, I'm doing this to like serve my body, my mind, my spirit in the highest. And today I'm meeting myself wherever I am. And I'm going to be with that. And I'm going to be with whatever lesson that comes with that. And just like life in general, some days are going to be joyous and, full of surprises. And other days are going to be heartbreaking, right? And that might be our same experience on the mat as well.
For me, that experience was very powerful. I went through that process of noticing that I was mad at my body. I was like, why can't you do what you used to? Like, why can't I? This used to be so simple. What is going on? And then I was just like, you gave birth. This is amazing. Your body changed.
Right.
You created
exactly.
You received a freaking miracle. Like this, there is no place to complain. There is no place to, this is all ego. This is all, and I had to go deep. I had to go to, why am I so frustrated? And why do I have to be never perfect? I was never perfect with yoga, but at least okay,
Right. No, I totally know what you mean. And for you and for all of us, it's like that shift of perspective. Like what you just went through, we could say is one of the most amazing things that a woman's body could possibly do. And also the most traumatic.
Oh, it was traumatic for sure. It was traumatic. And I used to be, I don't know what happened, but I used to wake up with super like back pain and leg pain every day. And I couldn't even crunch. Like I had to like use the dresser to just like get out of bed. And it was pain. Like this pain lasted for a year and some until I found shockwave therapy, which I have a totally completely different podcast episode. It's about shockwave therapy.
Oh, wow. I'd love to listen to that.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's how to heal the scars with the sound waves. Because when there is a cut in the body, it affects the nerves, and the nerve sends different signals or no signals to your brain. And so you cannot activate, like it doesn't matter how many crunches I would do. I can't activate the core, but with like 3 to 5 sessions, it can change your life, even one session.
And how did you find it?
Just the way I find everything in my life. I don't know. It just comes. This time it came through my husband, who met Orion, who is an expert in shockwave therapy, and he told him about that. And then we found an office here in Florida that uses the same machine. But it is incredible, like the technologies that there are out there to heal the physical body. They're amazing. So for anyone who's got scars, like shockwave therapy, go listen to that episode because it's amazing. And I'm going to link this episode in the show notes as well.
Very cool. I will be checking that out for sure.
Can you please share about your new book? I'm very excited about your new book.
Yes. So my book is called Chakra Rituals, Awakening the Wild Woman Within. And the real like inspiration behind writing this book, well, first of all, I like I've already said that the chakras, the system as a whole, has become the map in which I use to live my life. And I wanted to create something that took the chakras out of the woo-woo, out of something that seemed like it was out there, and give you a really practical and grounded application of how to use this system and how to harness all the energy that you are and awaken your, what I call your superpowers, each of your chakras at these 7 distinct levels, as there's 7 main chakras in the body. So the book has been designed, or I designed the book as to take you on a 7-week journey. And we spend 1 week on each of the energy centers, 1 week on each of the really beginning to build an intimate connection with this particular power, with this particular energy or intelligence. And with that, it's not a book that you just read. It's a book that you experience by doing practice, because the only way we can transform, the only way we can evolve is by doing something. We can't just read something. We actually have to take action. So I use different rituals or yogic tools for the practices. So we do everything from creating sacred space in our home to meditation, to breath work, to mini vinyasa practices that I call body prayers, to mudra practices, to writing contemplation, to something that I call embodiment. So each day you have a little assignment, and I don't want you to feel overwhelmed just by hearing this, because they're micro practices. So everything is 15 minutes or less. Some things are only 5 minutes, because I really wanted to make it accessible for all of us. We all have busy lives. And I didn't want someone to be like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? So I really try to design it with that in mind. And I share, some of my experience. I share personal stories to drive the narrative forward. And the goal, again, isn't to make you an expert on the chakras, but to give you the opportunity to have a lived experience of the energy of who you are and use it as your map for your empowerment, for you to come fully alive in who you are.
How would you describe the chakra centers? So we've got 7 or 9, depends on who's counting.
Or 14, or no, I mean, there's many different systems. So I went with 7 because those are the 7 main ones in the physical body. And then there's chakras are energy vortexes. So we actually have thousands of them in the body. But according to the system that I have studied, these main 7 are the ones that are associated with, our endocrine system, different parts of the body, different parts of our psychology, different parts of our health on all levels and different parts of our, spiritual connection. But yes, don't get hung up on the number. I'm just sharing from the 7 chakra model.
Right. So the 7 chakra model, what are those chakras and what do they correlate with, like as far as color or physical and emotional application?
Okay. Well, that's a really big question. But I'll see if I can, try to quickly.
The overview. We're not going to go deep, obviously.
No, of course. But yeah. So I'll go quickly. So the chakras run vertically along the spine. And one thing that's important to know, that even though they run vertically, is that there's no hierarchy amongst them, that each of them contains, again, their own intelligence. But we start at the base of the pelvis, which is known as the root chakra, or the Muladhara chakra is the Sanskrit name. And the color is red. Red is the color of Shakti, of aliveness, of our blood, that, first nourishment that we, really receive. It is associated with the element of earth. And we're really dealing with the principles of grounding, of being connected to the earth, being connected to our physical bodies, being connected to our place on the bigger whole of the world. So this chakra is really about your coming to terms with your own body and like taking care of your physical body on the most basic level. And what I say is reclaiming the temple of your body. Moving up to the second chakra, that is the water chakra, or Swahisthana. And that is located more of the low belly, low back area of your body, or for women, we call it our womb space. It is associated with the color orange. The orange is associated with creativity, and the element is water. And this is the chakra of reclaiming our pleasure and our desire and coming into our own sovereignty, right? Of our own ownership, right? If our first chakra is about, really tending to the physical body, now we're owning it in this, really deep way. It's our emotional body. It's to be in flow, right? To be in permission to feel everything that you feel. Right. So we have physical body, emotional body, earth moves into water. We move up to the solar plexus, which is below the sternum, but above the navel area. And this is known as the power chakra, or the fire chakra, known as Manipura, which is the city of jewels, or the place of diamonds within you, is the little translation. It's the color gold, like the sun, or like that brightness of the flame, and is associated with the element of fire. This is our power. This is our confidence. This is our self-esteem. This is how we metabolize our food, metabolize life experience, metabolize all that happens to us. It's that energy of transformation, of showing up, the commitment, the mastery of saying yes to your life fully and completely. And then moving up to the heart center, which is the fourth chakra, is known as Anahata. This is the color green. So I like to think of it as like the color of nature and all the different shades of green that we, can see when we go into the forest or go into the jungles and into the trees. And it is associated with the element of air. And this is the chakra of love in all its forms. Self-love, unconditional love, relationship love, parental love, friendship, love of life. And then all that comes along with that. So this is where we really wake up to true intimacy and coming into balance of relationship between giving and receiving. It's also the place of forgiveness and empathy and compassion. All the textures, we could say, or all the sentiments really of the heart space. And then moving up to the fifth chakra is located in the center of the throat. The Sanskrit name is Vashuddha or Vishuddhi, which means to purify, right? To purify the poison that lives in our system. And that poison could be our thoughts. The poison can be the words that we're speaking, or the words that we're speaking out loud, or the words that we're speaking to ourselves, right? It could also be the poison we're ingesting through our ears, because our ears are associated with the throat center as well. This is our center of communication. This is where we really bring the inside out, where we reclaim our voice, or reclaim our voice, and we can speak our truth and authentically, right? Be who we are. It is represented by the color blue, like that wide open, full expanse of like the most beautiful sky. And the element associated with is space or sound. So the power, the sound vibration, the power of even what you're saying, the shock therapy, the power of sound, right? To create, to heal, right? Just like our words have the power to heal or to harm. So really even just taking responsibility around the power of a voice and the impact it can make. And then moving up to the sixth chakra, which is located in the third eye center, the brow center, is known as the Ajna center. This is the homeland of our intuition, of our imagination, of us being able to dream bigger, wilder, and reconnect to the awe and the magic and the mystery of what it is to be in this human form. It is also that deep inner knowing, that deep intelligence, that embodied, we say that embodied wisdom, or in yoga, we say the jnana wisdom. It is represented by an indigo purple. And it's technically outside of the five elements. We could think of it as like deep, deep space. It's also sometimes some other wisdom keepers refer to it as the element of light, right? So just like the two eyes can see out, they can also see in and light up what is inside and what is true and illuminate our path forward. And that in so many ways could be our intuition right there. And then our final step on this 7 chakra journey is the crown of the head. And that is called the Sahasrara chakra. And you can imagine it as 1,008 petaled lotus sitting right on the crown of the head. And it acts like a satellite dish that connects you to the divine, that connects you to the infinite, connects you to the God of your own unique understanding, whether that is the sun, the moon, the stars, Durga, Mary, Jesus, it doesn't matter, right? Higher self, cosmic consciousness. But that knowing that the energy that is running the entire universe is the same energy that is running your body, so that there's nothing of you that is not of the divine. And we drink that in like divine grace, divine gratitude, divine joy. And it's just so, so beautiful. So this is just a quick little taste into this rainbow journey that takes us from the roots of the earth and moves up and out into this more spacious, more open, more boundless, so we can awaken more and more consciousness, so our evolution is never over, right? There's opportunities for more of these petals to continue to unfurl, for more healing to happen, more awakening, more access to the power of who we are.
Wow. I was never as excited about chakras as I am right now.
I'm a little bit passionate about it.
Just hearing you speak about it, it's so beautiful. And the way you explain and the metaphors and the passion in your voice, it's so, soothing and exciting at the same time. It's very beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're so welcome. Thanks for asking.
That big, bold question.
I'm always like, when people ask a question like that, I'm like, well, how much time do you have?
That's nice. That was beautiful. I was very aware of my throat chakra recently, very recently. I just finished last week. I took a course with Marissa Peer. She's a legendary therapist, like the best in the world. And she teaches RTT, which is rapid transformation therapy, which is a therapy that combines cognitive behavior therapy and psychotherapy and hypnosis and neuro-linguistic programming. It's all in one, and it's a process.
Wow.
Yeah. And it helps people heal from different things in like 1 to 3 sessions. It is actually rapid.
Wow. That's incredible.
And it's very, very helpful. It's about like taking people on regression to events in their life that are hidden in the subconscious mind, finding the core meaning of like the beliefs that were formed in and healing that. It's all done under hypnosis. So, there are so many things that we suppress. So this is about like bringing stuff from the subconscious into an awareness of ourselves, and through that to heal. It's super powerful. And throughout this whole week, I was hypnotizing other ladies and they were hypnotizing me. There were a few guys in the room, but I think there are more female therapists in this world. And so I was getting rapid transformation therapy. And on the last day, we had like a test. A coach was with us, like watching how we do it. And they regressed me, and I tapped into an event in my life that I didn't even know happened. I had a vague idea, and it was all to do with, I couldn't speak. I was repressed. I couldn't scream. It was very, very traumatic event in my childhood, and I could not scream. And as a part of the healing journey, I think, is that as soon as we finished that, I got a sore throat.
Mm-hmm.
It is so, things that are in the subconscious, our thought forms actually create physical limitations or disease in our bodies. And I believe this was a part of the cleansing process, purging, cleansing.
Yes.
Something that happened there, because I feel like even after you finish a session like that, it takes a few days until you just come back to balance, because you touch really deep stuff.
Yes. Like a reconfiguration is like almost happening in your whole like blueprint of your body.
Yes.
And I'm so glad that you said that about what's happening in the subconscious, because the same with the chakras, like what's happening in the subtle body or the subconscious, we could say, right? And the chakras are the subtle body, the energy that we can't actually touch or feel or hold on to, just like the breath that we breathe, right? But everything that's happening in those realms of the subconscious and the subtle are impacting the physical body, right? And are being expressed that way, right? So that's like a perfect example of what happened with you in terms of getting that sore throat after this experience that was happening, that you are now integrating, and that first came into awareness, right? And then it's starting to integrate. And then what are you left with? A sore throat. Absolutely. It's.
Yeah, that was powerful. I mean,
absolutely.
Really heal. Like, that's incredible. It happened each and every time. Like when I did it to somebody else, or when they hypnotized me, it's like, it's freaking incredible. And I think it's going to be really lovely to integrate it with all that knowledge about chakras, and maybe use some of the rituals in your book to help other people or any.
Absolutely.
So for example, for the throat chakra, what is a ritual or something that one can do to heal that?
What most people deal with in the throat chakra is constriction, like what you're talking about, some version of not being able to scream, not being able to speak up, swallowing your words. I'm sure everyone listening has had some experience with that, or
anybody on Facebook.
Yeah, right. Okay, right. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, but we have had so many times, or at least I may just backtrack. I personally, my throat chakra has been something of big work for me in my life. And I feel like that's why I was guided to become a speaker, because I had no choice but to work on healing.
Right.
My biggest thing that I tell people is that you want to start opening up your voice where the stakes aren't high, where it's not threatening. Whatever that instance that happened to you when you were a little girl and you couldn't scream, right? Those stakes were high. And then the way your body may have inputted that information was that, again, it was like survival. Like if the scream came out, like maybe something really bad was going to happen to you. Like, again, this is not happening on that conscious level. That's happening on this deep unconscious level. And that's why for some people, and women in particular, actually speaking up and speaking their truth is so terrifying, because in this subconscious way, we feel like we're going to die. And that's at least what my experience was. So I love doing sound. It was me learning how to actually just make sounds. So exhaling out through the mouth or the tongue and giving myself permission to be uninhibited, paying attention to the structures of the throat, the neck, and the ears, and all the tension, the habitual tension that you hold there. I guarantee you, if you're someone who has a difficult time speaking up, you deal with shoulder and neck pain on a regular basis, or like at the base of your skull. So even just gentle, like every day, I would just gently move my neck up and down and do, neck circles from side to side and pay attention to the sensations I felt, so that I could feel when I was contracting there, when there was something that wanted to come out that I wasn't able to say. And then I play so much. So for me, movement, because I'm a movement person, is so the gateway in so many ways for me of opening the body. So my favorite technique I'll share with you, which is also in the book, is something I call shake, rattle, and roar. So yeah, and it's super fun. And if you have kids, you can do it with your kids too, because they love it. You can do it with music on or without music. And you literally start with your hands. You just shake your hands like vigorously. You shake them forward and back, up and down, and you just get the movement first. And then you can say to your hands, like, okay, hands, what's stored in your hands that you want to let out? And you don't say the words, you just start making nonsensical sounds. Or when I was a little girl, I made up my own language. So I just, I would just start like, and making these sounds. And really, I know it sounds so crazy, but then you do that through every body part. You then shake out your arms, your shoulders, your chest, your belly, your head, and you let each part vocalize. And again, you're not doing this from like the thinking mind. You're doing this from that deep wisdom that lives inside, that place where everything that has ever happened to us is programmed inside the body. And you're giving yourself permission to release what you've been holding. And you might notice as you go through the whole body, there are places that you don't want to make a sound, right? Or like you'll just stop. You're like, no, I'm done. And it's because there's something there. This is a non-threatening way to start to play with moving the energy in your body, moving the congestion that's keeping your voice shut down, so that once we build that muscle, that we'll be able to more easily speak and stand up in situations that are a little bit more higher cost. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I'm going to do it tonight with my 2-year-old.
It's super fun. And it doesn't have to be long. It could be 2 minutes. It doesn't have to be an hour-long thing.
We'll put Baby Shark in the background.
There you go. And it's actually like, if you do it for like 5 minutes, it's like a great HIIT workout, because your heart rate's going to get way up. You'll break a sweat. It will also just change your whole energetic frequency. And what I suggest that you do at the end, after you get through the whole body, is then just spend like the last 10 seconds, just shake the whole body, just make whatever other kind of sound you want to do. And then take a moment to pause. So like you finish, ground your feet, maybe you take your hands to your heart or anywhere else on your body, and just take a few breaths and be really present to what you feel. Be present with the subtle vibrations, right? The vibration, right, is our voice. It is the sound of creation. So just paying attention to the subtle vibrations. You don't have to put language to it. But if something does come up and you want to take pen to paper and write it down, do that. Just continue to allow that release to happen.
That's beautiful. Wow. I have another bold question.
Okay, let's see if I have an answer.
What are your 3 top tips to living a stellar life?
Read my book. Just kidding.
No, why not? Of course, I'm sure.
For me, it all comes, again, this is another reason why I wrote the book the way I did, is I believe what we do daily matters most. And having a daily commitment to the sacred is what feeds my life more than anything. And that daily commitment to the sacred could be my yoga practice. It could be me just lighting a candle, but just with total presence and reverence. So that would be my first thing, is doing something daily that is connecting you to the sacred and whatever that means to you. Because without it, I have no anchor. I have nothing that I want to be. I don't want to feel I'm on this journey alone. I want to be plugged into, source, and to feel the support of, we could say, the Mother Earth and the Father Sky, and know that I'm held in between both.
Beautiful.
But for the divine or spirit or whatever you want to call it to show up for you, you have to show up for it. That's at least how I believe. The second one is you got to move your body. You have to move your body. There's so much science now that says moving your body is good for everything. There's nothing that moving your body is not good for. So whether it's doing the shake, rattle, and roar, whether that's going for a walk, whether that's doing your yoga, whatever it is for you, but make time to move your body every day. And again, it doesn't have to be an hour. It can be 10 minutes, whatever it is, but move your body. It will improve the quality of your life 1,000-fold. And this is what's just coming through right now for the third one. It may not have been what, if you asked me yesterday or asked me tomorrow, but find time to revel in the magic of what it is to be a human, the magic of what it is to be alive. Because I feel like, especially in this day and age of, we've been in this period of time for, almost a year, I guess a year and a half now, where we've been in such detriment and such loss and such, we've gotten disconnected from actually all the good that is happening in the world, and the magic and the miracles that are also simultaneously happening around us.
Yes, there is still a lot of good that is happening in the world.
There's so much good.
It's about what we focus on, but the world, it's yin and yang. Like, the more the darkness, the more the light. But there is light, and the light is just as big and powerful, and even more powerful than the darkness.
Yes. And sometimes when I say something like this, people are like, well, then you're denying the dark. And I'm like, no, I'm not saying don't deny the dark. It's real. The shadow is real, right? The dirt is real.
The shadow is a part of the light, and the light is a part of the shadow. They coexist.
Absolutely. And I'm just saying we also need to bring equal attention to the light. And I'm sorry, for the last year and a half, most people we're in a big light deficiency, or a big joy deficiency, or a big miracle and magic deficiency. And we need to put stock in that bank account.
Amen.
Right? To even just bring it to equal level, right? Even just to bring it up. So whether that is, the smile on your kid's face, or the fact you woke up this morning, whatever it is, just bring some of that extraordinary again into those ordinary moments, or that magic in the mundane of experience, because it is there. It's even back to what we talked about earlier, that shift of perspective, of the eyes in which we are looking, the mind in which is what it's focusing on and fixated on. Is it fixated on the flaw, or is it fixated on the beauty?
Mm-hmm.
And how can we do that? And I believe that just those 3 little things, if you just committed to that for 40 days and did nothing else, your life would absolutely change.
Wow. Thank you for all this inspiration, the inspiration words. And, it's beyond your words. It's your energy. I can just feel everything that you say, and it's incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah. Where can people find you, connect with you, get the book? I know that you might have online programs. Maybe you can share all of that with us.
Yeah. So the 2 best places to find me is Instagram, and it's at Cristi_Christensen. And my personal website is CristiChristensen.com. From there, also one of the tabs is the book, and that will take you to my book website. But my book website is chakrarituals.com. And everything I'm doing pretty much lives on there. You could sign up for my email list if you want, and you'll get a bunch of free stuff and you'll be in the know. The next thing I'm doing is I'm guiding people. We're going to go through my book as global community. So I'm doing a 7.5 week course on the book, and we'll gather together via the Zoom platform and we'll go over the chakra that's to come, and I'll share additional content and some kind of bonus practices that aren't included. So there is bonus material. And then you'll go off through your week. You'll do the practices, and we'll meet up the next week, and we'll have time for question, answer, reflection, and then we'll move on to the next chakra as well. So I'm really excited about that, and just have tons of other stuff in the works too. But if you follow me at any of those places, you'll find out.
That's beautiful.
Yes. As the world is reopening, I'm reopening too. Yes. Super grateful.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Cristi, for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, listeners. Remember to have a daily commitment to the sacred. Move your body because it's good for everything. Find time to reveal in the magic of what it is to be alive and have a stellar life. This is Orion. Till next time. Thank you for joining me on my mission to light people up and change lives around the world. I hope today's conversation inspires you to step up, go after the life of your dreams, and be who you want to be. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to go to stellarlifepodcast.com for show notes, transcripts, and other cool stuff. And please subscribe, review, and help spread the word by sharing us on Facebook and Twitter. Have a lovely day, and I'll catch you on the next episode.